Hey, what's up, guys? Listen, the trial that had the nation divided, and by divided, I mean 90% wanted her to walk free and 10% thought she was guilty. Karen Reed, a verdict has finally been reached, and she has been acquitted. And guess what? She is doing her victory lap as she should. She got new defense lawyers, and they did the thing. However, O'Keefe's family is not done, and they are going for the jugular, and they want to make sure that she faces an OJ-like reckoning. What does that mean? They are going for a civil lawsuit. The lawsuit is expected to start sometime late 2025, early 2026. If you guys don't know, the judge actually paused the lawsuit because they wanted to make sure that Karen Reed did not violate any of her Fifth Amendment rights. Okay, so let's get into this. What is going on with that family? Like people said, Bev is pissed. We're going to break down the civil lawsuit, what it could mean to her, the fact that they're still trying to destroy this woman's life, who was clearly framed. But if you aren't familiar with the case, let me just give you a little snippet, and then we'll get into this lawsuit. Okay, so if you guys don't know, on June 18th, Karen was acquitted of second-degree murder, manslaughter, and leaving the scene of the accident, but was convicted only of operating her vehicle under the influence. Now, the police have long maintained, or at least a detective maintained, that no, that can't be what it is, because they think that they actually hit him in a jealous rage, left off, this, that, and the third. We'll get to that in the end. But let's talk about the way prosecutors could have pursued an appeal, but there have been no announced plans to do so. That doesn't mean that they won't. Okay, the verdict resolves her criminal liability. Double jeopardy prevents her from being retried for the same charges. But let's get into the O'Keefe family and the way they are on a blood feud to get a wrongful death civil lawsuit conviction against Karen Reed. Okay. And get this, the lawsuit is separate, continuing under civil law, not criminal. And it looks like it's going to go to trial. And if Karen loses, she could face financial damages that could ruin the rest of her life. Okay, but at least she'll be a free woman. So what do we watch next? Even though no further criminal charges are forthcoming, her only conviction stands and no new indictments are in the works. However, the wrongful death suit. Now, one of the things the O'Keefe family refuses to believe is the defense theory of Karen's new team that got her off. Karen claimed that O'Keefe was beaten inside a house belonging to a retired officer, Brian Albert, possibly by Albert's nephew, Colin, and others, with a cover-up orchestrated by law enforcement that included planting evidence. I'm not going to lie, I was following the case and a lot of weird stuff kept popping up. Now, these allegations were essential defense arguments, both in the first trial and actually what ended up getting her off completely on the retrial. But there's no official investigation outcome. None of the officers, including Brian Albert, Colin Albert, and any fellow officers, have been criminally indicted or charged in connection with suspicious conduct or misconduct in this case. Now, jurors were informed of evidence suggesting questionable police behavior, such as destroyed or mishandled evidence. We'll talk about that. Testimony, biased testimony from lead investigator Trooper Michael Proctor, but that did not result in any criminal charges against any of the officers. Now, the prosecution does maintain that Karen Reed struck O'Keefe with her SUV and left him. Again, the defense said he was beaten inside the Albert home by others, and the vehicle theory was the police constructed narrative to frame Reed. Now, ultimately, of course, they sided with the defense in acquitting Karen of the serious charges, but they did not move to charge any officers. And because there's no further legal action, this makes a big, big issue for Karen with the civil case. Now, in the civil case, on August 23rd, his family launched a wrongful death lawsuit against Karen and the bars C.F. McCaffrey's and Waterfall Bar and Grill, alleging that Karen struck him, right, while intoxicated and that the establishment played a role by giving her too much to drink. These plaintiffs include O'Keefe's brother Paul, the parents, and the niece. They allege Karen not only caused this death but also inflicted emotional distress by her conduct before and after the incident. Now, what's the problem with that? The problem for Karen is, unlike a criminal charge, they actually have a viable civil case. Let's walk through this, okay? Here's the thing. For the criminal case, you guys know you need beyond a reasonable doubt. For civil, you need a preponderance of the evidence, just over a 50% likelihood, basically more likely than not, instead of, okay, I'm nearly certain, okay? Now, if you want the legal precedent, baby, just think O.J. Simpson. O.J. was acquitted in criminal court for murder of Nicole Brown, but he was found liable in a civil wrongful death lawsuit and ordered to pay millions. It actually put him in so much financial debt. A lot of his problems actually came from that. And even that robbery was staged because he wanted to get his memorabilia back so he could sell it and pay bills. That all came from him being broke. We all know being broke is a problem. Okay? Again, why? Because civil court has a much lower standard. Now, here are the strengths of the family civil case. Her operating under the influence conviction is now a matter of record. They can argue she was intoxicated and negligent. There are timeline inconsistencies in her story that can raise credibility issues, and the family can point to emotional distress, omissions, and reckless behavior, like waiting for her to call 911, her messages that night, we'll get into that later, and expert testimony. The accident reconstructionist, the toxicologist can still sway a civil jury. Now, that said, there are many weaknesses in the case. The criminal jury rejected the prosecutor's timeline, suggesting there's reasonable doubt that she even struck him. The defense theory that he was killed elsewhere gained public traction and can cast doubt in civil court. Let's not forget, you have to get the jury. There are no direct eyewitnesses or irrefutable forensic evidence showing her SUV actually even hit O'Keefe. And the defense can still argue that a civil suit is being used to shift blame from others, namely those law enforcement and or partygoers that the prosecution refuses to look into this. Now, most legal analysts are saying that the civil case still has legs. Just because Karen wasn't convicted doesn't mean she's off the hook. But it'll come down to which narrative the jury believes and whether the O'Keefe family can clearly show that more likely than not, Karen caused his death or contributed to the negligence in a big way. Again, the family's angle is she knew she was too drunk to drive. She dropped him off in unsafe conditions with no snowstorm and no coat. And if they can convince a jury that she hit him, even accidentally, while backing up the car, that's enough for liability, even if it wasn't on purpose. There was also her reckless behavior after the fact. This is where the family's emotional anger comes in. They feel Karen didn't just make a mistake. She acted in ways that were cold, suspicious, or self-serving after John was already dying or dead. Now, here's the things they plan to bring up. She waited hours to go back and find him, despite saying she was worried. Texting things like, "He better not be dead," and "I hit him, didn't I?" And the family says that sound like the guilty conscience. And also letting others, like her father, take the blame to create a different story at first. Again, they're hoping the civil jury could find that this added emotional distress and showed a disregard for his life. And let's also not forget they're going for wrongful death from recklessness or failure to act. Now, they are going to make an argument that even if Karen didn't kill him directly, they could argue she left him to die in a snowstorm while injured or unconscious. She failed to call for help, which might have saved him, and she tried to spin a story, causing emotional harm and delaying justice. Now, let me just say this. At the end of the day, I'm going to put somebody that refutes all of this because I do think that they are really stretching. But again, the civil case, it's something to be worried about. Now, this doesn't require proving a murder, just that Karen's actions contributed to his death or disrespected his dying moments. And let's often not forget the intentional infliction of emotional distress. This is not about the crash, but how she acted after. Some reports say she went out drinking again shortly after. Others say she posted online and spoke in ways that the family found callous or performative. And her defense theory that John was beaten inside a cop's house accuses multiple people, including John's friends, of a brutal crime that caused major public fallout. Now, the O'Keefes feel that this was a smear campaign against John's friends and a selfish way to dodge responsibility, even if Karen truly believes it. Again, you guys, they're looking at wrongful death compensation, pain and suffering, emotional distress, punitive damages. Again, the family is angry. They want to believe she left him to die and that her story constantly shifts. They feel she blamed others without proof, especially friends who were grieving too. And her defense accused John's inner circle of murder and the O'Keefes say that's deeply insulting and makes their grief worse. They want accountability. And I get they want accountability. But on the other hand, right? They want accountability. But do they want the impossible? Because listen to this.
If you truly believe that Karen Read is guilty, you are what's wrong with society. Okay? I don't know if you watch the same trial that I watched, but it's true. Like, the bitch did not do it. She did not do it. And I don't know what part of that you can't get through your fucking head. There is not one shred of evidence that points to her actually killing John O'Keefe. If you want hashtag justice for John O'Keefe, maybe look at the people who got rid of their fucking dog after 7 years. Or maybe look at the people who threw their phone away after being told that they were going to be looked at into a military base. Maybe look at the lead investigator who didn't even investigate anything, just literally said, pin it on the girl. There is so much wrong with this trial here, all of which does not point at Karen Read. She did not do anything wrong. You think she's annoying? Fine, whatever. Who gives a shit? She didn't do it. Does the back of her car actually look like she ran over a 200-pound, 6'2" man? I don't fucking think so. And I'm telling you, it was like God. It was like divine intervention, the things that have happened in this case, for everything to be pointed away from Karen Read. You could not be more innocent if you tried. The way that there is proof of her SUV backing up and hitting the other car, which will give reasonable doubt in the taillight cracking. The way that evidence just kept popping up very suspiciously. Like, this was a terrible cover-up. And yet you guys are still rooting for her to fucking go to jail. Are you insane? I don't think you understand that this could be you. Karen Read could be you. And yet you're still defending a system that will bend you over and fuck you dry. And you're saying, yes, please. Yes, please. You're a joke. You're a joke. Yeah, I mean, this system is garbage. This justice system is a joke. And the fact that you're defending the justice system by wanting her to go to jail is just so dumb. It's so stupid, and it's so stubborn, and it's so... Oh my God, it's just like the worst. And the fact that Peggy O'Keefe, John O'Keefe's mother, and Paul O'Keefe, sitting through that entire trial, still believes that Karen Read is guilty. If I were the husband, I'd fucking leave their asses too. That is insane. That is batshit crazy. And if you genuinely believe with all your heart that she is guilty and that she deserves to go to jail, you are what's wrong with society, and I'm praying for you. There is right and there is wrong, and there is innocent and there is guilty. Karen Read is fucking innocent. And even if she was guilty, there is so much reasonable doubt that has been placed on this trial with the botched investigation made by that stupid ass fucking Proctor, Buchanan, literally the entire police department, everybody. So much reasonable doubt that she has to be found innocent by default. Okay? Man, it's just like, it fries me to see how many people are rooting for her to go to jail. This could be you! Is it not clicking to you? Dumb!